Hi, guys. I am super excited to be here with you tonight. You'll have to excuse me if I go into a coughing fit. I think I'm coming down with bronchitis. All this pollen has given me a bunch of drainage, and I've got the croup now. So if I go into a coughing tangent and walk off the camera, you'll understand what happened. But tonight, I have a very special guest with me, and I am so excited to have her on the show. I have literally been sitting on the couch for like the last 4 hours waiting for this moment to happen. Kelly Martin is my unicorn. I have read probably only about half of what she actually has published, but still, love her, can't get enough of her. I love all the scary books she writes. I'm addicted to the ghost stories. And I cannot say enough about what a fantastic writer she is and how much I have been waiting for this to happen. I am so excited to have her join me on the page. So, without further ado, guys, I welcome Kelly Martin. There you are. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
I'm so excited to have you here on the show finally.
That made me cry. I was listening to your intro and I was like, whoa.
I refrained from the squealing. I didn't want to alarm my dogs and have them tear down the door because that would have just been a little embarrassing. But
Or give yourself a coughing fit.
yes, but you should be prepared for screaming and squealing and possibly some tears when I officially meet you in person in Roanoke on April the 4th.
It's a
For those,
month. Less
I
than a month.
know, just a little less than a month. I cannot wait.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody who's watching us, Kelly is here tonight to talk about her newest release. It's called What Rachel Did. I absolutely adore the cover of this book. I think it should be on t-shirts. Oh, look, we both have it. It's a gorgeous cover. I love it. And it's her foray into middle grade of all things. So we are definitely going to dive into talking about that in just a few minutes. But before we start about that, I wanted to gush a little bit about Kelly's accomplishments. Believe it or not, Kelly, you have published over 30 books. That is amazing.
Mhm.
Now, I know not all of them are available to purchase right now on Amazon, but wow, 30 books. How
Yeah, since
does
2012.
really 30 since
Mm-hmm.
2012?
Yeah.
You're a machine.
I
Wow,
used to
you are
be.
my um how does publishing what did it feel like releasing What Rachel Did versus how it did in 2012 when you released your first book?
I think it's always scary and it's always nerve wracking and you always get nervous. I like or I think it's interesting when I go on YouTube or see somebody that's about to put out their first book and they're like, I can't wait for all the nerves to be over, and I'm like, oh, you poor child. It's never gonna be over. The
They
nerves
never
never
go
go
away.
away. Never. It's just as exciting. And I think when your first book comes out, you don't know what you don't know. But then when it's like your 30th or your 40th or whatever, you know what to look for and what to kind of dread for when it comes out. And I think it's like a different level of nerves for that.
Well, you had some early reviews on this book, so you knew it was going to be greatness. So there wasn't anything to be nervous about.
No, but you still get nervous. I mean, it's just, you're putting your book baby out in the world. You want people to like it.
You write a lot about ghosts and haunted houses and things like that. And I follow you on YouTube, so I know that you also enjoy reading that type of stuff and you love horror. What about those types of books appeal to you as a reader?
I like the mystery of horror. I don't really like I'm not really into like gory horror. Blood makes me like ugh. broken bones. I'm like, no, okay, I can't handle that too much. But I mean, I do watch American Horror Stories, so you kind of have to get a little leeway and on that. But I don't know, when you read horror, it's kind of, it has the ghost story elements, and it has the mystery elements, and it has the whodunits, and I always like that in books. And I don't know, I just think it's kind of like riding a roller coaster, and you don't
Mhm.
really know when the next drop's going to happen or the next jump scare is going to happen, but you know it's going to happen, and it's kind of like the anticipation of it. So I don't know. I think it's really interesting, and I like history a lot too. And you don't see a
Mhm.
lot of ghost stories where the ghost died like a week ago. They're usually like from I don't know, hundreds of years ago or whatever. So you kind of get to learn a lot about the history of things from ghost story perspectives a lot of times.
You have several stories that deal with, haunted houses. Do you have any personal experience with the paranormal?
I don't know how to answer that without sounding
No,
crazy.
you're not gonna sound crazy.
Okay. um, I live in a very weird house. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
There's
I heard
a
it's
I live
haunted.
here. It's haunted is a nice word for it. Haunted's yeah, it's probably haunted. But yeah. Okay. So the first time we ever saw, or I ever saw, the whatever is in my house. The girls were little, they were in the car, and my oldest and my youngest daughter are redheads, and my middle daughter has or at the time she had blonde curly hair, and I was getting to go to work, fixing to go to work, and I was in the bathroom, and this curly headed girl skipped by, and I was like, Chloe, get in the
Oh
car.
my gosh.
And she never came out of the bedroom, which is the bedroom, by the way, the one I'm in. And I was like, no, 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 no. So I went and looked in here, and of course, there was no Chloe, and she was in the car the whole time. So that was exciting. And then my husband thought we were all just making it up. So then one day he had told one of my girls got in a little bit of trouble. And he told two of them were supposed to stay in the room and was talking to the other one or whatever. And the other one, but we were in the kitchen, and my two daughters were in their bedroom, and the other one was in the living room. And he's tall and I'm short. So he looked over my head and he was like, I told her to stay in her bedroom. And I was like, what? And Chloe sat up in the chair. She's like, I'm right here. And he's like, no. So he went storming in their bedroom, and they were both in there. And he was like, I was like, you saw it. You saw it. And he was like, no, I didn't. But
So was
yeah,
he
there's some
terrified?
weird things. Just little weird things. No, no. He doesn't like me to go to I went to where did I go? Waverly
You went
Hills.
really
And
no.
he didn't like that very much because he was like, you don't need to bring any more ghosts home. I'm like, and he's like, well, we know this one. So
Now,
there's
have you ever
times
done any
that you can hear
research
him
on your
talking
house?
when he's yeah, yeah, there's times where you can hear him talking, and even the cats hear it, that you that he's not here. So it's a creepy house, but yeah.
Have you ever done any research on your house to see, who
I
it is that's
have
haunting the
the
house?
people who live yeah, well, the people who lived before us had some like crazier stories than we have. We just hear things every once in a while, like it's nothing, scary or anything. I mean, once you're used to it, it's not, you know, bad. But the people before us, they had some wild stories to tell, and then, but we don't know why. My house is in two different sections. The old part was brought down. I live in front of a hill. This is the southern talk of things. I live in front of it, and on top of the hill was this house. and they brought the house down from the hill. So the original part of the house is like 120 years old, I think. And then they built the rest of the house onto it. So we're not real sure what's going
Do
on.
you just hear and see things in the old part of the house, or do you hear and see things through the entire house?
Mainly through the whole house. Yeah, mainly.
Interesting.
I don't know. I feel kind of embarrassed.
No, I had no idea it was going to embarrass you. I told you to pre-approve the questions.
I did, and I was like, "Well, I'm not going to talk about it." And then I was like, "Well, then it just all came out."
Well, that's why I asked it, because you've mentioned it in videos and things before. That's how I knew that your house
Yeah,
was haunted. So it's not like this is
yeah.
the first time
Well,
it's ever gotten
my
out there.
bio says it's a possibly haunted house
Yes, it does.
because don't want to say it's totally haunted. Don't
All
want
right.
to make the ghost mad. Do you want me to tell you the coolest? Do you want me to tell you the coolest story? But
Yeah.
everybody that's watching has to promise that they can't tell my youngest daughter.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know if I made a video about this. I think I made a video about it. But anyway, so there was one night, my youngest daughter, she was about 7 at the time, and she came running into the bedroom, and it was in the morning, and she said, "Mama, I love you so much." And I was like, "Oh, baby, I love you so much too." And she said, "And I know you love me because of what you did for me last night." And I was like, "Oh, okay. What did I
What
do?"
did you
And she
do?
cried because I was a little sad, and I felt, and you started rubbing my feet, and I looked down and I saw your shadow, and you started humming to me, and I wasn't scared anymore, and I just went back to sleep, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm a great mama." I didn't do that.
Oh my gosh.
No, wasn't me.
Has anything like that happened again?
Um, they've seen things, but not really like
Not
that.
anything like that where they were touched or anything.
No. Mm-mm.
But that's
Not that
kinda
I know of.
cool
It's just kinda
that
like a normal thing at my house. So it's like, "Oh, I saw the ghost today." Well, you know.
you keep doing your hair, so I feel the need to fix mine.
I'm sorry.
We've had quite a few people pop in with us tonight. Crystal, why do you want me to say the word horror again? What's wrong with the way I say horror?
Horror.
Because I don't say horror, I say horror.
I think it's like me, you have an accent and it don't sound like horror. Horror.
Yeah,
Horror.
yeah, see, it sounds normal. If you really want the country to come out, if I focus before I say the word white, I say it correctly, but in general conversation, it's white.
What? Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, that's probably, like,
White
the most
line.
word I ever say. Oh god, what's wrong with the way I say hair? I didn't say hair, I
Hair.
said
I
hair.
think I said hair. They're making fun of me.
I told Kelly when we did this that it would be a battle to see which one of us was more Southern, because
And I said I
if
win.
I talk to someone who is Southern, mine even gets worse. And, yeah, so there's
I
no
don't know if
telling.
mine could get worse.
There's no telling what else may pop out. But you hush, Crystal, because you sound like you're from Canada. I've met Crystal. Crystal lives in Upper Michigan, and she sounds like she's from Canada. So there, take that, Crystal.
That's one of the reasons I started my YouTube channel was because I went to a book convention in Nashville, and I'm the only one that sounded like me. I'm like, "This is Nashville. People should sound more like me." But
That there's a ton of transplants in Nashville, and so they wouldn't sound like you and I.
yeah, but they should.
But yeah, they should.
Now, apparently, my sister researched it, and I know this probably won't be interesting to anybody but me, but that we're the only, like in my county, we speak something called Appalachian English that other people around it has something to do with like where your ancestors came from and like from Appalachia or whatever. So that's That's how I say. And technically, we speak more like normal Old English than, English. Because we say ye. Melanie
I
wants to visit my house. I should charge. Should have
You
her
should.
house.
We can do like a nighttime walkthrough with just flashlights and those little EVP things and all that. That'd be
No,
awesome.
I don't want to know what's here. I've never done that. I've never done an EVP. I don't talk to it very often. Very
We,
often.
my husband and I live in a mobile home, so I bought it brand new. Like nobody's ever lived in it but us. So I have a yellow lab named Savannah, and sometimes she will sit on the foot of the bed and she'll hold her head back like she's looking up at somebody and like they're scratching her chin. And she's the only dog
Yeah.
in my house that dogs. The only one that does that. And Stephen will say, that's my husband. He'll say, Savannah's friend is back. I really wish she'd leave because she makes me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, my cat will do that sometimes.
But
My
yeah,
poor
it's
cats
crazy.
get blamed for everything. It used to be, oh, it's the ghost, it's the whatever. Now it's just the cat. Well, we got 3 cats now, so it's just the cat.
Well, I don't have any cats anymore, but they never did anything like that. Like they didn't stare off into space like they were looking at somebody or something. But Savannah will sit or lay down on the bed and she'll have this look like she's looking at someone or something, and then she'll kind of move around a little bit like they're scratching her, and I'm like, seriously, stop that.
Oh.
But I don't think the house is haunted or
You have
anything.
a non-scratchy ghost too.
I know, but like she doesn't like kick her leg like, oh my god, that feels good, because if she did that I'd probably leave the house screaming. I mean, my husband certainly again, he'd be done at that point, just done. But yeah,
Yeah, people.
she does it.
My
Yeah, it's a little weird, and like I said,
Mama's asked me why we don't move. I'm like, well, I like my house. I mean, it just
yeah,
has a roommate, allegedly, maybe.
allegedly. There you go, allegedly.
But we just had a talk at church Sunday about ghosts not existing. Well, one person thought that. So then I've been like, ever since.
It's kind of hard to to refute it though when you've seen things, that you can't explain, and when you've
Yeah.
literally seen a curly-haired child. Look, I said it for you, Crystal. Haired.
Ghost running by. Yeah.
Go
And
strolling
my
by.
husband saw it, and and my husband saw it, so he couldn't just be like, yeah, the crazy lady saw it. It was, and it was just a split second. I told those girls to stay in the room. That was the funny thing about it. Like, it didn't even hit him, and they were, and they were all where they were supposed to be, and I was so excited. I was like, you saw it. He's like, no, I didn't.
Now, do you watch ghost shows as well, like Haunting in America or Ghost Adventures or any of that?
I watched Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters. I used to watch Ghost Brothers. I liked it a lot. What else did I watch? Paranormal State.
Yes.
That's one of the older ones, but I like Paranormal State.
I remember that one.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it came on Sci-Fi. I don't know what happened to it, but it was a good one. Yeah, I watched that.
Crystal has a good question.
Oh.
She's like, is Kelly Martin a pen name? You don't have to tell us your real name, but you mentioned church, so it made me wonder if you had, if they have read any of your work. It's not a pen name. It's my real name, and I'm a teacher. And yeah, they know at church. They know.
If Crystal, if you're friends with Kelly on her personal page, she actually posted a video, because Melanie and I were talking about this the other day. I think it was Melanie. If it wasn't Melanie, it was my husband, because I had this conversation. about she posted a video where her girls got baptized. And I was having the conversation with somebody about how you don't see that in a lot of places now where they literally go down to the river. But the best part of the entire video was the guy that came by in the boat that was fishing because he didn't feel the need
Yeah.
to like pull over to the side of the bank and wait for it to be over. He just
Yep.
strolls right through the middle of everything, which I thought was hilarious. And that was the
He
point
did, but
that we were talking
he
about.
did take his yeah, he did take his hat off when they were praying though. So that was good. But yeah, I mean, you go to the lake for baptizing, that's what's gonna happen. Boat's just gonna go passing by.
Oh goodness. Oh, that was a hoot. Okay, well, we are here tonight to talk about your newest book, which is dun, 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 What Rachel Did. What Rachel did is the first of your pen into the middle grade ink. So, how was
Mhm.
writing this different than, say, your Dark and Deadly Things series or your Trinity Row book?
Um, it was really interesting because I've always wanted to write a middle grade. Like I said, I work at a school and the Scholastic Book Fairs there every year. Well, I think twice a year. And they have some Married Down in Home books, which is my favorite ghost story writer. She writes middle grade. And K.R. Alexander, who I love, and he writes middle grade. So I thought I'm going to give it a shot. And I had the story idea. Actually, my middle daughter, Chloe, we was talking about a book idea about a girl about her age that went to a haunted house. And I was like, yeah, that would be a good idea. And then I thought, well, I'll make it a book that she can actually read because I have so many books out, but not that my kids could read. Not that they're, bad or dirty or sweary or anything, but they're scary.
Yeah, all of your
Um,
books are cool
so
reads, but they are scary.
yeah, yes. I have a line. I don't curse, but I'll scare you to death. but so that's why so that's why I really, really wanted to get into middle grade because Chloe really, liked that and I would like to have something that she could read in. And they're actually putting in the library at school, which I think is exciting. And there was somebody came knock. I teach pre-K, so I don't get to see the big kids very often. And somebody came in my room Monday, and they were like, "We just saw your book in the library. We can't wait to read it." So that was like the high point, the high point of my day that day. So it was different writing because middle grade, it can be longer. I think a lot of middle grade fantasy, kind of like Harry Potter, of course, are longer books, but generally they're not as long. So you have to tell your whole story in kind of a shorter way. Of course, there's no romance in it, which is fine. And so you really focus more on the friendships of everybody. I want it to be more of a family thing. So in the book, when they move into this haunted house, they her family changes. Like her brother starts talking to somebody that may or may not be there, and her parents they change. They used to be this really happy-go-lucky family, and especially her parents, and they move into this house and they start fighting, they start arguing, and they start changing. So so I think there's different dynamics that you hit in middle grade that you don't in young adult and especially in adult. And that was really fun to get into because Ava, she's the main character and she's 12 and she doesn't believe in ghosts. And then her best friend Bradley does believe in ghosts. So, I mean, not only did they move into this haunted house, but she lived next to Bradley ever since they moved into town. And he won't leave the house, so he won't come over. She lost her best friend basically. I mean, she'll see him at school, but they don't get to be together. Um, her brother's acting weird. Her parents are fighting they never did before. And I think that's one of the reasons I really, really like writing scary books, horror books, ghost stories, is because, most people won't admit that they've either seen a ghost or they believe a ghost or they believe in paranormal stuff. Most people don't.
I've seen them.
But they but everybody, most people understand fear of something. Fear of course, I live in Tennessee. We just had the tornadoes. Fear of storms,
Yes.
fear of tornadoes, fear of losing people you love. Just fear, basic anxiety, not paying your bill, fear. So everybody can understand fear. But when you put it in a scary story, you kind of talk about those fears in a more concrete way instead of an abstract way. And you can kind of figure out ways to deal with it. I always say it's like the human in horror. I love the human in the horror elements. Jump scares are fun to write, especially, you know, jump scares are fun. But at the end of the day, it is all about telling character arcs and the character story and fighting through fear and fighting through panic attacks and anxiety and things like that. So that's why I really like horror, is because you can go through all that. And I know kids, their parents fighting can be scary. My husband and I can get in arguments sometimes, and our little one will come. Well, she's not little. Well, she is. She's 9. She'll come and run between us, and it's scary to kids when their parents fight when they don't normally fight. So for Ava going in this book, I mean, her parents are fighting because of the house. The house is doing things to them, but she's having to go through things to understand it. And even if you're reading it, and even though your parents aren't being pulled by a house or whatever, but you can kind of understand their situation. And I think it's a weird, but I think horror is a safe place to deal with your fears and anxieties that's not in like a real situation. That is totally a long answer for what you said, but there you go.
Actually, I think you combined like my next 3 questions all in that answer.
I'm
So it
sorry.
worked out well. Um, let's see. Do you think that you will write any more middle grade? Did you enjoy writing this one? Do you think it's something you're
I
gonna
would
do?
love to. Yeah, I would really, really love to. I have had a great time with it. I think it's really neat to see like the people reading it. And like I said, I love doing young adult. I love doing adult, but it's cool. It's very neat to have somebody come in my room and be like, "Hey, we love these books. I can't wait to read it," because there's not a whole lot of middle grade horror in the world.
Mhm.
Now, to be fair, if you think about it, Twilight, which is not middle grade, but Twilight is a young adult horror. It's in the young adult horror sections. Just because something is horror doesn't mean it's scary. Now, every time I say horror, I'm like trying to correct myself.
I know. Crystal has
For
ruined that
Crystal,
one.
it's a terrible word. But yeah, I would love to do more middle grade. It's fun. I really liked doing it. I liked seeing the kids get excited when they read it, and not everybody likes different. Not everybody likes contemporary. Not everybody likes horror. Not everybody likes historical. And I think it's nice to give people different options. I know Goosebumps does really well. R.L. Stein,
Mhm.
I guess he writes Goosebumps. Fear Street, I think that's more young
Yeah.
adult. But
I read
Married Down in Home,
in school. I loved those. They were awesome.
mhm, yeah. So I remember when I was in school years ago, about the only young adult books we had were Sweet Valley High. And I liked Sweet
Read those.
Valley High, all right, but that's pretty much all we have. People nowadays don't understand the privilege they have now of not just having Sweet Valley High books. Not that they're bad, but if that's
I
all you have,
remember in like the 8th grade and 9th grade, and I'm probably really telling my age right now. And Crystal, before you comment, shut up. Um, like, the naughtiest thing we had to read was, like, Flowers in the Attic, you know? I mean,
That is
just
pretty naughty. I've never read it, but I know what it's about. Do you know now I've got myself that hurt. I was not expecting Flowers in the Attic. When I was in 8th grade, I read my very first novel, and it was in 1994, so you can guess my age. Uh, and it was Interview with a Vampire, and my friend and I read it because that was when the movie came out,
Mhm.
and that's what we read in 8th grade.
I went through an Anne Rice phase when I was, like, 21, 22, and I read all the vampire books, all of those witch coven books that she had, everything I could get my hands on, I devoured by her, and I had this whole phase that I went through, with all of her books. I was obsessed.
I think everybody has an Anne Rice phase.
Well, you
At
have
one time or other in your life, you've got to have an Anne Rice phase.
All right. While we are opening this up to the Q&A for you guys out there, do you mind, Kelly, reading us the blurb on your What Rachel Did book to let everybody know what it's about?
Okay. 12-year-old Ava Kirkland knows 3 things for certain. 1, Bradley will always be her BFF. 2, science is the best subject ever. And 3, ghosts don't exist. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. 20 years ago, Mosley Manor was left abandoned. The haunted house of Whitechapel, Tennessee, has become the local dare, the place kids sneak to see if they are brave enough to go inside. Ava isn't scared of Mosley Manor in the slightest. She believes in facts. According to her, anyone who is scared of Mosley Manor should be ashamed, unless that person is her best friend, Bradley. He gets a free pass because, well, he's been terrified of the house as long as Ava has known him. In fact, he was originally the person who told her about the house and all the ghosts inside. Unfortunately for Ava, her parents decide to buy their first house. Yay! And it ends up being Mosley Manor. No. Ava isn't afraid of the place, just not happy about leaving her old rent house next to her BFF. It's also not wonderful that it's the only thing anyone at school wants to talk about. Ava's brother starts acting even weirder than normal. Mom and Daddy never used to fight like this, and by golly, those upstairs doors have minds of their own. Ava may not believe in ghosts, but they certainly believe in her.
This is a great book. I recommend it not just for your middle grade students or kids at home, but for the adults too. I read this book, Crystal's read this book. We both loved it. Like I said, it's a clean read, so you don't have to be concerned about your children reading it. And it's more of a jump scare. I don't think it's anything that would give your kids nightmares, but then again, I'm not a kid reading it, but I didn't feel like it was anything that super scary or anything like that. Um, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was another fantastic book from Kelly Martin. So if you guys want to post your questions for Kelly, I will get those drug over to the screen so she can answer them for you. While you guys are posting those, I'm going to shout out to Crystal. Thank you for joining us, Crystal, even though you made fun of us. That's okay. Your publisher's here. Mary Gray is here. Thank you for popping in, Mary. I'm actually going to have Mary and her sister on next week, I think. I don't have my calendar in front of me.
Yay!
Thursday. And we're going to talk about their trilogy, the Sisters of Blood Creek. That's what it is. So stay tuned for more information on the page about that. Hi, Tina. Thanks for joining us. Melanie's with us. No, Crystal, I'm not going to say horror for you anymore after that. That's it. I'm done. That word's gone from my vocabulary now.
Horror.
I know, right?
How do you say it normally?
I don't know.
How do people
Horror.
supposed to say horror?
Actually, what's wrong with that? It's horror.
Horror.
We're going to meet up in Roanoke, and we're going to be trying out words on one another to see whether or not we're saying them correctly. Yeah.
I think we're saying them right. Everybody else is saying them wrong.
I agree. I agree. Melanie had a good question. I'm trying to find her question. Here we go. Whoops. Okay, so Melanie's read, she's read What Rachel Did, and she's also read Trinity Row. And bless her heart, I think Trinity Row gave her nightmares. But I recommended it to her, and so I have drug her over to the dark side that is Kelly Martin. So she wants to know, why are all the bathrooms creepy?
Because bathrooms are scary. They have mirrors.
It's a trend
And
for
mirrors
you.
are
In your
terrifying.
books, there's always something awful happening in the bathrooms.
Bathrooms and mirrors. I don't know why. I guess because they're confined places. You're kind of vulnerable in the bathroom. I don't know. You would think I would never go in one, but I do. I take baths. I'm fine. Uh, and the mirrors are just creepy, which I'm not. My mama thinks mirrors are creepy too, so at least it's not just me for that.
Randomly.
I don't know. They're just creepy. They're just weird. It's just creepy. Because you don't. Okay. Like if you're staring at your reflection in the mirror, I remember years ago when I was little. You remember Twin Peaks, the TV show? Okay, there was I've never watched Twin Peaks, but there in the commercial there was this lady and she was looking in this mirror and she had this really pretty purple shirt on, and I love purple, so I was watching it and it was in the commercial, and she was standing there and then she like reached and then the hand in the mirror reached out and touched her, and I've been terrified of mirrors ever since. So there you go. There's my origin story.
Looks like Crystal is referring to your haunted house, like the haunted house on the hill.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's haunted or things just, coming out around, but it's a weird house. But it's mine, so
Let's see. Crystal's still on here making fun of my accent. She's never dogged me this bad.
maybe it's extra strong tonight.
I told you when I talk to someone else that's Southern, it gets worse. See, when I talk to Mary and them next week, it won't be this bad.
They're from Texas.
Well, other people I know from Texas don't have that strong. I guess it depends on if they were born and raised there.
Well, most people in Tennessee don't have this strong of an accent either. It's just
VC Andrews, that's the name I couldn't think of, Crystal. Thank you. Yes, VC Andrews was scandalous back in the day.
It's still scandalous, I think. I don't know. I've never read it, but I think I know what it's about.
Crystal's still on here giving me a hard time, I swear. Okay, if you guys have any other questions except for Crystal, go ahead and post them in the comments so that we can get them go ahead and get them answered by Kelly. Sorry, I got sidetracked by a question. Here we go. Question. Mary wants to know, at what point did you come up with the name for the title of What Rachel Did?
This was the hardest book to title. I had no idea what to name it. And then I started sending out query letters because I knew it wasn't when I wanted to self-publish. I knew I wanted to go through a publisher. And I needed a title and I couldn't think of one. And I had just finished reading the ending, which not gonna give you spoilers on that, but it just kind of fit. It really fit. I even had a friend, she won't read scary books, but the title grabbed her enough that she messaged me and she was like, hey, I can't read this book because I don't like scary books, but what did Rachel do? So I had to tell her the ending because she was afraid to read it. So the title just kind of came out based on the ending.
Oh.
You wouldn't think it would be titled that because Rachel's not the main character. Ava is. But it just kind of worked.
It does. I think it does. Okay, do we have any other questions from the group? Guys, go ahead and get those posted in there. I know our feed runs a little bit slower than yours does. Crystal, we're not talking to you, so stop it.
I think I ran them off with the ghosts.
No, no. They're all still here. Oh, Elizabeth Kirk has popped in. Hi, Elizabeth. Mary says she loves the title. We do have some new
I
faces.
did offer to change it. I offered to change it, and Mary was like, "No, no, no. We love the title." I'm like, "Okay, we'll keep it."
Just popping through to see if I missed anybody. Oh, hi, Heather. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're glad you could be here. Crystal
Can
says,
I ask y'all something?
yeah,
Do y'all
sure.
have haunted house stories? Surely it's not just me. Make me feel better and put some kind of haunted house thing in the comments.
Um, Not my current home, but before I moved out on my own, I lived with my aunt. And my uncle passed away when I was in 5th or 6th grade. He died of a massive heart attack, so it was very sudden. And I moved in with my aunt when I was 17 to finish my high school, my last year of high school. And I woke up one night, or excuse me, I woke up one morning and my bedroom door was open and I actually slept upstairs. And the first bedroom had originally been my aunt and uncle's room, and then there was a bathroom, and then my room was on the end. Well, after my uncle passed, my aunt moved and stayed in the downstairs bedroom. So she didn't want to be in the upstairs room anymore. So I woke up, my door was open, and I kind of rolled over and looked out the door. And I was at the end of the hallway, and there was a big window at the end of the hall. And I swear to God, saw my uncle standing there looking out because he would look down their little driveway. They had a huge shop kind of halfway up their driveway. And his workers would come in the mornings and they would park at that shop and meet him there. And then they'd load up into the work truck and go to work for the day. So I saw him standing there, not see through or anything like that. He looked solid to the point where when I finally decided it was safe to crawl out of bed because I threw the covers over my head and that's it. I was done. I was terrified. Um,
Yeah.
I heard him when he walked back down the hall, like it squeaked and things like that. And I just lay
Oh
there and I thought,
God.
what am I going to do? So I got up, and when I finally got up and I went downstairs, I told my aunt about it and I described what he was wearing. And she started crying, and I'm like, what in the world? And she said, that's exactly what I was wearing the day that he passed away. And I had
Oh
no idea
gosh.
what he was wearing. And
Yeah.
I didn't go to the funeral services or anything like that. So nothing had ever been said to me about what he was wearing. So that was my first experience, and it was super creepy. And I didn't sleep with my door open anymore after that because I didn't want to see anything else that was going on in the hall. And my
People
aunt
would
told
be
me,
there.
yeah. So I came home. I had been out one afternoon. My aunt came in from work, and I didn't have a car. So when she came in and she came home, she heard music coming from upstairs. So she just assumed that it was me. And like half an hour later, I came in the back door, and she's like, "You been gone all this time?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just got home." And she's like, "That's weird because the radio in your bedroom was playing for the longest time, and it turned off like 10 minutes ago." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going up there." Weird things like that happened when I lived with my aunt. And I was
Yeah.
very much into um, ghost stories and hauntings and all that kind of stuff. And there's tons of stories about haunted places around the town and surrounding towns that I live in. So as a senior in high school, it was our weekend thing to do was to ride around to these different haunted places and see what we could see. And
That's cool.
there was a little alcohol involved. So I
That's
would
not cool.
swear with 100% certainty that it's all true. But there was some pretty freaky stuff going on. And I have seen scary things. So yeah. The scariest thing would have probably have been I won't say where it is in case anybody locally pops in and listens to it, and I don't think the area is there now. I actually think a subdivision has been built where this was, but we used to
Uh-oh.
drive this dirt road back into the woods, and there was this old wooden bridge, and you could see a lady in white walk across the bridge and kind of walk into the woods. And one night we stood there and she came across the bridge and we lost our nerves and we hopped in the car and she disappeared. And then she reappeared at the back of the vehicle and put her hands down in the trunk. We all screamed bloody murder and took off. When we got back,
No!
yes, when we got away and we got into town, we stopped at like a convenience store or something and you could see handprints on the dusty part of the car because, of course, we had driven down a dirt road. And I said, yeah, I'm never going there again. I'm done.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Okay, so my stories are totally tame compared to yours. I feel better. Elizabeth said she got haunted at a book convention. Was that Utopia, Elizabeth? Because that place was creepy. It was the Millennial Maxwell House Hotel. My room was okay, but I heard some stories. That wow, some stories from there.
okay, so Mary has a question for me. This is new because I don't normally get questions. She wants to know what my favorite thing about your writing is. Um, I love horror.
Yes.
Uh, Crystal, because I know you're fixing to say something. I love it, but I'm not into the gore. I really enjoy the jump scares. I'm not into it being super complicated like a Stephen King novel is. And I'm not saying that your writing's like simplistic or anything. I don't mean that. I mean with Stephen King there's a lot of even the movies sometimes you got to watch them several times just to get a handle on things.
Like
I
he'll put
enjoy just
one
the
whole scene. He'll have one whole scene, and the only thing you're supposed to get out of it is like the last section of the scene.
yeah. I I like a good haunting, a good ghost story. That never gets old for me. I'm a huge fan of all those paranormal shows and things like that. Um, and I like the jump scare. I mean, I do. I usually read them at night in my room, with just a little book lamp on or something like that. There were a couple of times with Dark and Deadly Things that I think something like bumped in the closet or the dog knocked something over and like gave me a heart attack. So that's cool when you're so into it and you're adrenaline pumping and then something happens and you're like, ah! So
Yeah.
that's what I like about it. And I'm not into like Saw and things like that where it's all blood and gore and everything. I want a good
Yeah.
story. I like that the story captures me and brings me in. And there's more to it than just the haunting or just the scary parts of the story. You get to know the characters and you get involved in those characters' lives because they're very well developed and usually people that you can relate to. So that's what I like about it. And hopefully that answers Mary's
Good.
question.
That's what I'm hoping you like about it. I'm all
Um,
blushy
Elizabeth
now.
says, Elizabeth says that it was at Utopia, but at an earlier one at the old college.
Yeah, I went there. That place was kind of creepy too, because it was an old church at one time too. It was very pretty, but it was creepy.
Yeah, Crystal, I prefer the movies for King versus the books. I've only ever tried to read one of Stephen King's books once, and I didn't really get into it. But I do enjoy the movies. They leave you thinking, and sometimes, depending upon what movie it was, I've had to watch it more than once to understand it. But for the most part, I do enjoy his movies, just not his actual books.
My sister loves the books. I think you either love it or you don't. I don't think there's anybody that, well, his books are so big anyway. You can't be like a casual fan. I don't think, like, you have to go into it like, yep, I'm gonna get into it, because I think books that big, you have to
Yes.
invest, because you're going to invest a lot of time into it. You're going to, you have to know what you're getting into. So
Mhm.
I don't think there's like I could be wrong, but I don't think there's like many casual Stephen King fans, because I mean, you kind of have to, you know, it takes a lot of time. It's not a short thing. I know the It audiobook is 40 hours long. So it takes some time.
I do a lot of audiobooks. Holy crap, 40 hours. Wow. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Very long.
Okay, if you guys have any other questions for Kelly or apparently me, go ahead and toss those out. We'll be free to, we'll definitely get those answered for you guys. Crystal's gonna behave now. Thank you, Crystal.
There's a cat knocking on my door.
Usually by this point, there's a paw coming underneath mine from the dog, and the door's rattling a little bit, and I have to let her in, and then her head.
Oh,
Then she's good to go. She pops in, looks on camera, and then she leaves. My husband must have her entertained because she hasn't been to visit.
oh. Well, my door's locked, and there's a sign on the door. So, I mean, the cats can't read it. So, I'm hoping it's not a kid. Oh.
Well, I have certainly enjoyed tonight. For you guys who are new to the page, make sure you check out my blog post today. I will come back and link it in the comments. I posted my review for What Rachel Did, and I also talk about a few items on my bucket list that Kelly and Monster Ivy Publishing unknowingly checked off for me. So, if you want to know what those are, you just need to hop on over to the blog. I'll post the link in the comments in just a moment for you guys. So make sure that you check that out tonight. And Kelly, where can they purchase What Rachel Did?
What Rachel Did is on every major retailer: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, iBooks, anywhere. And all the
Sorry.
links are on my website at kellymartinbooks.com.
I will also put that link for you guys in the comments for you as well. So make sure you check out What Rachel Did by Kelly Martin. I highly recommend it. If you like a good jump scare, check out Trinity Row. It is also available from Kelly with Monster Ivy Publishing, and I highly recommend that one as well. I don't have a picture of it handy, but I'm pretty sure I got the book.
I don't have it either.
Ta-da! There we go. This is a great cover. It is so awesome. And I actually have one of the limited editions.
Tammy did such a great job.
Yeah, this was
the black pages.
Yes, this is the first book box that I won from Monster Ivy Publishing, and this I think is actually how I found out about them. Oops. Okay, I'm not finished. I can't believe I made it this long. This is actually
You did good.
I actually found out about Monster Ivy Publishing from your book Trinity Row, which is how I got introduced to them. And if you guys
They're a great publishing company.
Yes, if you guys haven't checked out Monster Ivy Publishing, they are amazing. I've read probably about half of the books on their list. I probably own 75 or 80% of their list. Just haven't made it to all of them. Excuse me.
There's a new cover bill, and I've seen it for tomorrow for the next middle grade book that comes out in May. And I saw the cover, and it's beautiful. And the cover bill is tomorrow. So if you like middle grade and or pretty covers, be looking at my page, Monster Ivy Publishing's page,
It's gonna be
and
on my blog and my
our
page as well.
Instagrams, and you will see it. Mhm.
Okay, so
It's
I'm
beautiful.
losing my voice now. I made it this long, but I feel a major coughing fit coming on. So rather than share that with you guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up and call it a night. I want to thank you guys so much for popping on and joining us tonight. And thank you, Kelly, for coming on here. I was so nervous about this, but
Me too.
we chatted for about 10 or 15 minutes before we started the live, and that really helped things run a little more smoothly. I have people on here all the time that I've read their books and I'm huge fans of. But up until this point, I have met all of them in person with the exception of you. So I was just like, oh my God. So yeah, I can't wait
I'm
to meet
terrifying.
you. I can't wait to meet you in Roanoke, and I promise that you will know the minute I get there because everybody will hear it. I cannot wait. I am super excited about that. I want to thank everybody who popped on tonight. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for posting your questions. Definitely, definitely check out the book. I highly recommend you guys grab a copy of it. Excuse me. Sorry.
While Lynn's having her coughing fit, I want to thank everybody for coming and answering asking your questions and everything. I hope you enjoyed your last hour. Though I almost said the last hour of your life. That sounds horrible. I hope you enjoyed your last hour. Wait, that sounds even worse.
You
I hope
enjoyed
you've
the last
enjoyed
hour with us.
this talk. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed the last 60 seconds. 60 seconds, 60 minutes. I'm going to quit now. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for joining Kelly and I. Again, I'll post in the comments a link to Kelly's website so you can purchase the book. Also, a link to my blog so you can see my review of the book, purchase links for the book, and also just see what items she and Monster Ivy Publishing have knocked off of my bucket list. So, without further ado, thank you and good night.
Thank you. Thank you.